an old lady who's staying young and wished that when I was a little girl, somebody had taught me martial arts. I had the absolute privilege of meeting a wonderful man called K-Man. I married him, and he's, was a national kickboxing champion, a taekwondo champion, a judo champion, a karate champion. And he said to me, would you like to learn how to box? Would you like to learn how to kick and punch? And I was brought up in an environment where that was not what women did, but it was actually sinful. It was against my religion. So I found it difficult at the start to think about bang. But if you've ever punched a bag, if you've ever punched some pads, if you've ever had the privilege of being able to do some form of martial art, boxing, kicking, punching, wrestling, judo, karate, jiu-jitsu, any of those amazing things, you'll know what happens to your body and how good it feels, particularly as a woman, to be able to not just get rid of aggression, but to get your hormones under control. And this is the biggest thing for me. I've been an exercise professional all of my life, well over 40 years now, and now as a very old lady, I want to make sure that my body is in peak physical condition. I'm going to get chronologically older, so are you. We all are. But why do we need to get fatter, sicker, weaker? Why do we need to have hormones that control our life? What if we were in control of our hormones? And that's why I wish I did martial arts as a little girl. Because the challenge with the human body, if you don't look after it, it won't look after you. If you're not fit, strong and healthy, then your body doesn't produce all the things that keep you strong, that fight diseases, germs, bugs and viruses, and that help you get through challenges. So as a little girl, and I had 3 older sisters, it was all about when you get a period and when you're a teenager and when you're a woman, there's all these women's challenges, as they were called. So when you get a period when you're a teenager, it's going to be bloating and it's going to be sore tummy and it's going to be miserable and emotional and you're going to feel sick and tired. And that was what I was surrounded with from my family. And I'm sharing that with you because I started exercising when I was 10. I started doing some fairly serious exercise when I went to high school, which was sport. And the beautiful thing about sport is that it pumps adrenaline. When you are competing, it's the highest form of that fight and flight drug. And when I say drug, I say that with passion and enthusiasm because you can get addicted to a drug, of course. And adrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol, which are the fight and flight neurotransmitters in our brain, they are the ones that help us to run away and to fight. So in sport, you're fighting against the opposition. But that's why I wish I did martial arts as a child, because there's nothing more powerful for the human body. We haven't evolved from fight and flight. So we do a lot of sprinting, we do a lot of flighting, and yes, we do competition sport where there is adrenaline and epinephrine rush, but we do very little fighting, and particularly as women, we do very little fighting. When I see little girls doing martial arts, I get really excited because what's going to happen to that little body is when it gets up against a challenge, whether it's a menstrual cycle, a bully, a tough psychological challenge, life hits them hard, those little girls are going to be able to handle that so much better, not just because they're fit and strong, but because they do martial arts, because they've learnt how to fight, they've learnt how to defend themselves, they've learnt how to look after their little body, not just from an outside threat, but they've learnt from the inside how to look after themselves. And that is the endocrine system, the hormonal system. So you probably learnt this in school, but it goes a bit like this. As an exercise professional, this is what I do for a living, which is why I love martial arts so much, because I always go back to anatomy and physiology. Why do you feel so good after you punch the bag? Why do you feel so good after you sprint? Why do you feel so good after you've fought and flighted and fought, the fight and flight system? So if you go back to probably year 9 or 10 in high school when you were 14 or 15, we were taught that when the body's under stress, we go into the fight and flight system. The phosphate system, which is 10 seconds of high intense activity to get away from the threat. So we learn, the body says, you're under threat, you're going to die. We don't want you to die because obviously the purpose of the human body is to stay alive and to reproduce. Interesting, because men get that, but women, our role is actually to do the reproducing, and yet we don't seem to understand the fight and flight system, which is you've got to be fit and you've got to be strong. Not easy exercise, not medium pace exercise, not 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour of exercise. I'm talking about high intense bursts of activity where you pump epinephrine and adrenaline so that your body gets used to fighting and flighting, so it gets tougher and stronger. And as you hear me say that, can you see why I get so excited about fighting? Because fighting is short and sharp. Any form of martial art is full intense activity for short bursts. You punch hard, you kick hard, you push people over. Judo, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, muay thai. It's all about fighting and flighting. So not only are you lifting heavy, the other opponent, but you're also getting really puffed. So fight and flight comes into martial arts in the finest form, way better than a team sport, for example, because in a team sport you get to have a rest because you've got team players. But when you do martial arts, what you've got is the physiology, and let's go back. We go to the anatomy of the endocrine system, the central nervous system, the skeletal system, the muscular system. They're all working together to make sure that you can get away from the threat by running, which you can't do in martial arts. You actually have to fight. And that's where we pump the most amount of adrenaline. As you can imagine, if you're running away from a wild animal, that's pretty scary. But to actually turn and fight the wild animal and then to win, and that's where the big deal comes in men get this. Men love to do martial arts, but I find very few women, including myself when I was a child growing up, we didn't want to box, we didn't want to kick, we didn't want to punch, we didn't want to fight because it wasn't a girl thing to do. But it's the ultimate girl thing to do because after you've pumped epinephrine, adrenaline and cortisol from fighting and flighting, your body now goes into the reverse response, which is, yay, you got away from the threat, which is dopamine rush. You feel rewarded. Dopamine is a reward neurotransmitter. You feel satisfied with your life, serotonin, that pumps beautifully through your body after fight and flight because you feel really satisfied that you're alive. Not only did I overcome the threat, reward, but I love my life, I'm alive, serotonin rush. We also get this beautiful thing called endorphins, and we usually relate that to happy drug, but an endorphin is basically a painkiller to get you through the fight and flight. And then you feel fantastic. You'll often hear that as a runner's high. But when you talk to martial artists who have just had a fight or they've just punched the bag or they've just kicked really hard, that endorphin rush is enormous because to kick something and punch something and to go into fight mode, your body really has to produce the painkillers that stop you from being hurt. Have you ever wondered why when somebody's getting boxed in a ring why aren't they screaming in pain? Because their body's filled with epinephrine, adrenaline and endorphins to make sure that they don't feel the pain. That's the body aiming to survive under threat. If you're in pain, you don't feel like running, you don't feel like fighting because it hurts. So your body produces epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol and endorphins to make sure that it doesn't hurt. But the beautiful cover over for all of that is this beautiful thing called brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF, which is fertilizer for all of that. So when you puff really heavy, when you lift really heavy, when you fight and when you flight, your body produces brain-derived neurotropic factor so that you're better for next time. It's related directly to the fight and flight system because if I've got a wild animal chasing me, and I don't die, what if the next animal is bigger and nastier? If I fight an animal and I kill it, what if the next animal is bigger and nastier? My body has to be stronger, my brain has to be better, my body has to be able to cope better with a bigger threat. So brain-derived neurotropic factor is the chemical in your brain. It's a protein, a fertilizer for your brain that makes everything work better. So how does that relate in particular to women? Because I'm a woman, I can't relate to being a man, of course. That means that if you're under threat, if you're having a challenge, if you're fit and strong, if you know how to fight and flight, your body can produce those chemicals for you really quickly, efficiently and effectively. And if you force your body to keep doing that, your brain works better. So you can handle a challenge better. Your pain tolerance is higher. And then if you've got physical challenges from a menstrual cycle, from having a baby, from going through menopause, those things that women all have to deal with, we deal with them better. Now, I'm going to share with you how gorgeous this actually is. Because I started exercising at 10 years of age, I've been an exercise professional all of my life. I knew what a menstrual cycle was because I had 3 older sisters. But it was never painful, it was never bloating, there was never cramps, I was never tired. I just lived my life normally because my body was so fit and strong that it dealt with all of that so easily. Now, I might be a unique individual, But having been an exercise professional for over 40 years, I'm not. Because the people that I've talked to that have been fit and strong all of their life, where they've got a body that can fight and flight, it's ultra fit, ultra strong, they can kick and punch hard, and it's really interesting when you talk to martial artists. I'll give you another example. One of my students at the Max International Colleges, a world-class Muay Thai fighter, world-class kickboxer, world-class taekwondo fighter. It's cold out here, so that my mouth is starting to freeze up, which I think is absolutely awesome, because the other thing that produces epinephrine and adrenaline pretty quickly is being out in the cold. So if you fight and you're out in the cold, your body goes into double overload. Anyway, Estelle not only was a world champion fighter, but she wanted to have a baby. Met a beautiful man and wanted to have a baby. Within 8 weeks of having her first child, she was back fighting in an international world-class competition. Because you're fit and strong, your body can handle everything better. Pregnancy, having the baby, the beautiful challenge of bringing a new person into the world, which means less sleep. You have to deal with a whole heap of things that you're not used to. When you're fit and strong, your body can handle that so much better. So it's been really fun to talk to have the other life experience of women who have been martial artists all of their life and how healthy, fit and strong they've been all of their life. Now, I haven't done martial arts all of my life. I didn't start till I was 30. But what was really interesting and a really fun thing at our house, I've been married to K-Man for over 25 years now, and I said to him, I think I must have gone through menopause. And we kind of had a giggle. I haven't had a period for quite a while now, so I must have been through menopause. No hot flushes, no weight gain, no emotional challenges, no grumpiness, no nothing, just normal living my life and just no more period, which by the way is a celebration because now I'm a free woman. No more contraception, no more having to worry about anything except to have a wonderful sex life after menopause. Isn't that fantastic? And I'm sharing that very personally with you because you'll often hear from women that periods are horrible, pregnancy's horrible, menopause is horrible. Often just being a woman is horrible because I've got emotional challenges and weight gain and all those horrible things. Well, that, if you go back to anatomy and physiology, is all the hormonal system not working effectively. Have you ever wondered why women way back when could have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 babies? There was no hospitals, there was no doctors, there were no epidurals, they would just have a baby and move on. Because when we are, as human beings, really fit and strong, the human body, the endocrine system is designed to keep us fit and strong so that we can reproduce and live powerfully, passionately, and love our life. That's what the whole neurotransmitting central nervous system and endocrine system working together is all about. So I'm going to share that again. Fight and flight produces epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol. Yay, I've overcome the threat, which then produces dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, brain-derived neurotropic factor, which makes me happy, satisfied, kills the pain, and makes me better and stronger for next time. So if there was the perfect exercise for women to do, wouldn't it be martial arts? Punching, kicking, fighting, epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol, dopamine, serotonin, pain-killing endorphins, brain-derived neurotropic factor, and this is how I wrap that all up, to put it in really simple terms. Rather than your endocrine system, your hormones controlling your life, because you're not fit and strong, your hormonal system screws up, it gets out of whack, it gets busted and broken, and it doesn't work. That means your hormones are then in control of you. But if you're really fit and strong, your hormones will be controlled by you. Because you're fit and strong, everything that you do is designed to keep you in peak physical condition so that your hormonal system works well, your central nervous system, you've got strong bones, so no osteoporosis. One of the big deals with osteoporosis, weak bones, wasting of the bones, is that you don't have pressure on your bones. Can you imagine the kind of pressure that goes through your bones when you're punching and kicking? And I'll share with you a very personal story. My mother was diagnosed with advanced osteoporosis at 74. K-Man, my martial artist world champion husband, started her on boxing pretty much immediately. We got her really strong by lifting heavy weights. We got her really fit by running upstairs and running downstairs. So consider that, up for your heart, down for your bones. Pretty interesting situation for a 74-year-old lady who the orthopaedic surgeon had already ordered a walking frame and a wheelchair for her. K-Man said no way, so boxing, up and down stairs, running on the soft sand to get puffed, particularly boxing for the compression through her bones and heavy weight training so that we could build back her bones. When she had her next bone mineral density scan, the orthopedic surgeon looked at the results and was shocked. He said, we must have to do this test again. You don't have osteoporosis anymore. You've got slight osteopenia, which meant we had built back her bones. So I want for every woman to never have wastage of the bones, to never have osteoporosis. I would love every woman to never have sarcopenia, which is wasting of muscle, because muscle is the determining factor of our metabolism. If we have, if we lose muscle tissue, and most women do as they get older, you have now a slower metabolism, so you're more likely to put on weight. But if you've got strong muscles pulling on strong bones, so strong skeletal system, strong muscular system, you now have a body that stands upright. It's strong, it's fit, it's got a fast metabolism. You don't have to restrict your food, you don't have to go on a diet. You've got a brain that works incredibly well. You've got an immune system that fights germs, bugs and viruses and diseases because your immune system is built inside your bones. So every time you kick and punch, you are building not only your bones and your muscles, you're building your immune system to be able to fight the things that are attacking your body. So whether that's the horrible cancers that attack, and if you talk to a top level oncologists, they will tell you that at least 80% of cancers are preventable if you're really fit and if you're really strong. So I'm going to wrap that up again. If you're not doing an activity in your life that is getting you really puffed, that is not overloading your muscles and bones, that is not producing epinephrine and adrenaline, that's the physiology of all of that, then you're going to age very quickly. It's very likely that you'll put on weight. It's very likely that you'll get sick and old very fast. But if you do something that pumps adrenaline, pumps epinephrine, make sure that you're happy. So that's the brain control. You feel fantastic. You feel rewarded. You feel satisfied with your life. That's your endocrine system. If you're doing something to get puffed, lift heavy, fight and flight, then you're very likely to stay young, fit, healthy, and strong. That's my puppy dog agreeing with me. Ha ha. So here's my, I call this my rowie begging position. If I wrap all of that up, that says martial arts. Epinephrine, adrenaline pumps the heaviest when you're fighting, flighting, kicking, punching, and particularly when you go into competition. You feel fantastic after you kick and punch. You have then brain-derived neurotropic factor, which makes your brain work better. So you won't be depressed, you won't feel anxious, you'll have great self-esteem and great self-confidence. All the things that we want for women, all the things that we want for our girls, all the things that we want for our teenagers when they go through what everybody else calls a tough time. Imagine having a strong, fit, healthy body from when you were born, which is why I love seeing little kids, tiny little kids doing martial arts, because they're far more likely to have a fit, strong, healthy life and a fit, strong, healthy body that can get them through life. Because if you look after your body will look after you. If you look after your brain will look after you, because you'll be able to think clearly, you'll be more creative, you'll be able to overcome challenges, you'll be mentally tough, you'll be mentally strong, and you'll be physically tough and strong. Is there anything better for the human race? So get into a martial art. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Woohoo! Super new. How are you? I'm sure you are amazing, but you've got to punch and kick.